Hey y'all, it's Chan. I've never done a technology unboxing or review before, so this is a first for me. Um, Today I'll be taking a look at the Thermalright Hyper Vision AIO, which is a all-in-one cooler from Thermalright, a company known for making air coolers. Not sure how recently they got into AIOs, but they now make those as well. It's a company with more SKUs than employees, so I'm not sure if this review will ever be relevant, but I didn't see many reviews online when I was looking, so I figured I'd go with one. So today I'll be unboxing and installing it in my computer on my 9800 X3D. Taking a look at the temps there. I currently have a Deepcool AK620. So that is just an air cooler, and right now under load on Cyberpunk and games at that level, I am getting a temp of over 90 degrees Celsius, so typically around 92, 93. And I'm currently in an NZXT case, so I think it's the H9 Elite, so that's just the H9 that comes with the 3 extra fans there. And I got that before I knew about the whole NZXT scandal. So that's the current rig I'm running right now, just to give an idea of the temperatures. So I'll go ahead and unbox this, take a look. And we'll see what comes in the packaging. Okay. Pretty cool. So I did get the white model. There's a black model as well. There are also a number of other SKUs, I think, for the Hypervision, or at least I saw multiple listings on Amazon. They all appear to be the same thing. Had the same screen, same fans. So I also looked at the, I believe it's called the Frozen Warframe. I couldn't find anything on that really online either. This one had the bigger screen and was 20 or 30 bucks more. I paid 130.90 for this in USD, which isn't bad compared to all the other AIOs out there. I have an NZXT case, which I got on sale, pretty deep discount on that, and was wondering if I could find the Kraken, which is their AIO, on sale as well. I haven't seen it go on sale since I had my case. So not sure of the likelihood of that happening until maybe like Black Friday or another holiday. But even if it is on sale, some of those models retail for, from the mid 250s to the low 300s. So not sure that would really provide the value that this provides here, pending the performance on this, which I've seen some comments on Reddit that it seems to perform pretty well. And then the longevity, I think, is the bigger question here. I'm not knowledgeable on the pumps that they use. I know there was one company that designed the pumps for these systems, and I think their patent expired recently. So I'm not sure if this is using that pump. No idea what what kind of pump this is using at all. From what I've seen online, there's people who have been using these for a couple years now. Maybe not this exact model, but other Thermalright AIOs, and they appear to have pretty good reliability. I've seen some other comments in threads of those coolers failing, specifically the pumps. So I don't know if this is a newer model or if it is a one of the first designs they had, which I guess we'll find out later on down the road if this holds up or not. But I'm assuming in the newer models that they're continuing to improve the product. Thermalright has really been ahead of the game in design for their air coolers, and I'm assuming they're going to take that same strategy and innovation to the AIOs as well. So these will probably improve over time. This is, I think, pretty early on in their AIO lineup, so I don't believe they've been in the AIO business for too long. But we'll go ahead and just unbox this, take a look at it, and see what the contents of the box are before we go any further with the rambling here. There's a lot that you can find online that I'm bringing up right now, which I found through my fairly limited research. So I'm sure you could find some pretty good details online as well if you look hard enough, because people are much more knowledgeable than I am. All right, it's a pretty nice box. It's the Hyper Vision. This is the installation information, it looks like. Is there an English version? There is. Okay, so maybe I had it upside down to begin with. Cool. Okay, so this shows the contents that come in the box. So this is for both AM5, AM4, as well as, I believe, some Intel boards as well. It shows you the different Intel boards here and the installation steps. I have an AM5 platform on the 9800 X3D, so that's the one I'll be using. It also shows the radiator mounting. I'm assuming that'll be pretty straightforward. And the water block fan guide, LCD screen wiring. I believe it's just a USB-C cable. It plugs directly into the USB port on your motherboard, and then USB-Cs into the screen itself, which is magnetic. There's also a way to plug in the pump. Okay, so I was hoping for some more specifications in here that maybe I could show you, and you could take a closer look online. I wonder if these are additional fans or just wires. Okay, so there's a SATA connection there. Not sure what that is for. These are all of the different mounting hardware and brackets, and they're labeled pretty clearly, so I can see some Intel labels there. I believe that's Intel. And then there's also AM4, AM5 baggies in here too. So to be honest, I'll probably take a look online using YouTube, which is an amazing resource, and see exactly what I can find for videos on how to install this before I go ahead and do it on camera, just to be perfectly transparent. That's what I do with most of my equipment. And even then, I still do it every conceivable wrong way before I get it right, it seems. So it also comes with some thermal paste, it looks like, which is nice. I was thinking about getting some PTM 7950, but I'm not sure that's necessary. We'll see what the temps look like after this. PTM 7950, if you don't know what that is, it's my understanding at least is that it's a kind of a thermal pad, or like a thermal gel in the shape of a pad. So it's just like thermal paste. You put it on the CPU, place your fan down onto it, and it conducts the heat there. That's a better way to put it. The PTM 7950 is supposedly more efficient than this, and then also will last much longer as well. That's at least what I've seen. I thought it was a relatively new product, so I'm not sure where the longevity tests come from. I haven't really looked into it too much beyond just hearing that it's on a lot of the new GPUs, and a lot of people are really excited about it. A lot of tech YouTubers have been bringing it up, so I do watch a lot of those channels, LTT and others. All right, so this is the actual block itself. And make the best just to pull the whole thing out. I believe it comes pre-filled, and that is really nice. At least to my eyes. I've never seen an AIO up close in person before, and there's a little bit of a dent here and there on this one. You can kind of see here. There's a deformity there maybe, or maybe I'm just being a bit too picky. You know, the finish isn't perfect. Still pretty cool. Just as a casual enjoyer of these things, it's always cool to get a new piece of equipment in. It would be nice to install this on the PC. So this is the actual water block itself with all the wiring, and this is the LCD screen, which is magnetic, I believe. So I think I believe I can just pull this right off. Okay, there it goes. So it's a little bit larger than it looked. So these are the magnets here, or those are the screws, sorry. The magnets are underneath this piece right here, and this as well. And that just slides right on there. It looks like it comes with like a little screen protector as well. This is pretty cool. It's, I believe it was like a 4-inch or 3.88-inch diameter screen, which is, you know, this thing's 130 bucks. And I mean, this screen's bigger than most of like the NZXT Kraken lineup that I've seen, at least just by looking at it, it appears to be. Now, I believe the software that this uses as of today is pretty feature limited, and I've seen people have issues with putting GIFs on here and just using the software at all just to get this working. So maybe that's a minority. Maybe it's not really an issue. I guess we'll find out when we try to set this up. So let's put this back on here, and I believe that goes on this side. Maybe I flipped it around. There it is. Okay. So that's there. This is some nice, I don't know if it's like a nylon or some sort of material that's wrapped around the tubes that is white as well. It looks really cool. And I believe this is copper here on the bottom. And from what I've seen online, yeah, you do want to remove these before installation, obviously. But from what I've seen online, copper is the best or one of the best surfaces that you could have on a cooler as far as conductivity goes. So that's good to see. Good to see that. One of the things that I've seen online as well is just the build quality on coolers. If you get a cheaper cooler, you know, there's always, or an off-brand cooler, always potential that the plate here itself might not be completely flat. You know, if it's off just by a tiny bit, it can really throw the thermals. So I'm not sure how common that is, but I've seen comments about that as well. So it comes with fans. I have my own fans, the NZXT F120 Duos, I believe. Core Duos, I don't know. So these are Thermalright. I'm not sure what the model is. I'm sure there's probably more information on the back of the box, so I'll just take and flip that over now. We can take a look at that. Try not to be too rough with this here. So I'll put this over on my workbench. Okay, and this is just like really nicely packaged. Some very nice foam in here. Pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how those things got bent. It must have been at the factory, because this seems like it was very well packaged, which for 130 bucks, you know, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see that. The box itself is really nice too. I mean, yeah, I mean, all the translation looks pretty well. System info, display and monitoring, addressable RGB water block, 3.95 inch display. I guess I was off by 0.05 inches. Hyper Vision ARGB white, that's the model here. Hyper Vision 360 ARGB white. Shows the water block dimensions, radiator dimensions. That's the actual metal piece itself that dissipates the heat. The pump speed, so 6,400 RPM, plus or minus 10%. It's pretty interesting that they throw that in there. Not sure if that's a common way to measure this on pumps. Again, this is my first pump. That compared to the Frozen Warframe that I saw, at least on their website, the Frozen Warframe said it had 2,000 RPM. So it seems like a different pump design. I don't know if that's accurate or not. It's on their website. Their website isn't amazing. But that's one of the reasons I decided to cough up the extra 30 bucks for this one. The Frozen Warframe was $95 online, so $35 difference. But, you know, I have a pretty expensive CPU. Was lucky enough to get that. That's been in and out of stock for a while, the 9800X3D, and there's been a scalping issue on that, along with everything else in the computer hobbyist scene at this point. So, you know, I have a fairly high-tier CPU at this time. I tried air cooling it. A lot of people online said air cooling was just fine. And I'm sure the temps I'm getting are probably fine as well. Over 90 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure if that's really going to cause any issues or, you know, impact longevity at all. But the main issue I had was just the noise. The air cooling I had was super loud. I have it set to silent in NZXT Cam. Still having issues with how loud it is. So I'm hoping this will remedy that. And then also, I have an NZXT with a nice display case, which is my second PC build. My first one was a lot cheaper and just not as cool to look at. But this one is a little bit nicer to look at. I enjoy looking at it. It brings me happiness. So this should look a lot cleaner, and then I'll have that little screen. I can put pictures of my family on that. That'll be nice. Looking forward to it for sure. So it's a lot of fan specifications. So I already have NZXT fans. I'm going to probably remove these fans and save them, tuck them away in case anything happens to the NZXT fans in the future, or if I do a build for my wife or something. These look like really nice fans. So I don't know performance-wise if there'd be much of a difference between these and the NZXT, but the fans I have, they're all linked to the same software. They have the lighting that I like. I don't do the rainbow RGB, but I do have I usually have it like a light blue color just because I think it's nice. It's not too distracting. So I like to have that all matching in the case. So that's another reason I'm going to remove these and put the other ones on. They don't really sell AIOs that come fanless. I saw a Lee something or other. They sell that without fans. It was actually more expensive than this with fans. The price I saw online for that was $160 USD. And this is during tariffs, so it's hard to tell what is and isn't impacted at this point by tariffs. A lot of these things might already be in the U.S. in warehouses. Some of them might be getting shipped from China, so I don't know if that historically is the price for that Lee cooler, but I do know Lee is a higher end product, at least a higher end brand, and comparable to NZXT, I'm sure, in some ways. They make similar cases with similar RGB fans, different aesthetics, but a lot of people like them as well as a high-end option. So, or at least a aesthetically focused option. From what I was reading online, pumps failing could happen. This being a new brand, so there were some pump issues supposedly on some of the models. But catastrophic failures where there's a leak, this is probably all anecdotal evidence, but again, on Reddit, I was seeing people mention, I work in a repair shop, I've worked there for this many years, I've seen this many AIOs come in, and I can count on one hand how many times there was a catastrophic failure. Those are comments that I saw online, other similar comments. So I'm not too concerned about this. Hopefully everything goes all right here. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting my computer out here, and I'll film the installation there. I'm sure there'll be a lot of cursing. Hopefully I get it right eventually, and it'll be a nice resource to have on video maybe for anybody else who might need help installing theirs later on. So I will see you in a minute. All right, so I did say I was going to look this up online, but I went through the instructions. It looks pretty straightforward. I have removed my old fan. It's this one here, the Deepcool AK620. I am going to be installing the mount on this one here. Okay, and so those were backwards. So these say AM4 on them. You can see that there. These ones here say absolutely nothing on them. So I just want to take a look at the Intel installation. Do I see those? Yes. Okay, so those are shown in the Intel installation here. So those are clearly not the right ones. Essentially what they want me to do in this case is secure these brackets. It wants me, so it just has a little picture, a little arrow pointing to a small picture of what I'm supposed to put in there. They did include these. I assume that's what these are. Let me see if there's a part number in here at the beginning. AM4 plastic stands ×4, and it's an O. So far the directions seem pretty clear. O's go down. Start off with that. Okay. There's one. And I'll go with the AM4 facing upward, just for consistency's sake. Okay, and this is another one, AM4 facing upward. Yep, okay, great. And this one as well. Those are in. Excellent. Next step here. It mentions a part N. So let's go to the beginning here. And let's find part N. That is all the way back at the beginning. So part N, AM4 screw ×4. They look like that. So I guess it would be these. So metal bracket. Let's put these screws in just so I don't lose them in the case. And from the picture, in the installation, oh. Nope, yeah, the screws just go right on top. That's all it looks like to me. So these would go right here. Let's just kind of get them started. Cool, that's one. Feel free to play this at 2x speed to compensate for my slow movement here. All right, this is number 2. Those are both hand tightened. Okay. Seem pretty solid. I'm gonna get just a screwdriver here. And make sure they're tight. Okay, I guess that's actually tight. Now I'm using, I believe this is called a torque screwdriver, or at the very least it allows you to kind of go back and forth and tighten it pretty quickly. There is no mentioned torque for tightening these, so because of that, I'm just going to tighten until I get a good amount of resistance. Not too tight at all, really. I don't want to damage anything here. That seems fine. So that's basically, I just went until I felt resistance there. I think that should be good. So now actually I am going to have an extra step. I'm going to have to remove these fans up top because these are going to be the fans that go on the radiator. So I'll have to do that. I think I'll do that off camera. That's pretty simple to do. The next step is just apply thermal paste, secure water block. So I'll come back once I got those fans sorted. All right, so we're back. That took a lot longer than I expected it to. I have replaced the fans with my NGXT, I believe they're duos. These are the fans that came with it, and these seem like really nice fans. If I didn't already have fans, then I would be totally fine using these. I don't know anything about the noise level of these. I'm sure you can find that online. They're model TL-K12W. They're really nice. They look good. I would have no problem using these. I just already had fans, so that's why they are off the case. Okay, so continuing with installation here. I didn't show any of that. I thought that all of that was pretty straightforward. I didn't have to look up any videos for that part. Basically just swap the fans. There's long screws that go into these fans that you remove, and you reuse those same screws to put on whatever your existing fans were or your new fans are. Then there's smaller screws that come in a little baggie with these, very, very small. And there are 12 of those. Those just screw the radiator itself into the case. So pretty straightforward, I thought. If you have any questions about it, let me know, and maybe I can help you out, or I'm sure you could find something online too. That'd be pretty straightforward there. So that is that. So next steps here, add thermal paste, and then it just says secure water block with 2 nuts on water block bracket. So I'm just gonna try the bracket first. I just want to know what this looks like when it goes on there. All right, I'm gonna have to play around with this a bit and see what makes sense here. I have leftover thermal paste. I'm using Arctic MX6. Had good reviews on Amazon. You know, I'm not a snob, or that's probably not the right word to use. I'm not a connoisseur of thermal paste, so couldn't tell you what the difference is between this and many of the other ones. I'm going to put a ton on here. It's probably going to upset people. I don't really care. There we go, a big pile of poop. Maybe I'll censor that. Huge surface area on this. The CPU is not that large. Let me try not to scratch that. Excellent. And let's just review the instructions while we're here. apply thermal compound, secure water block. Cool. Those are indeed instructions. Yep, they sure are. All right. I'm always afraid of over tightening these, so I'm just, yes, that's tight enough. That's tight enough. Excellent. Oh, all right, the stressful part is done. Okay, so I just had to look up the motherboard manual. CPU fan 2 or water pump right here. Excellent. All right, so I ended up routing this just through the top here, and the wire goes all the way through the bottom. That way I can fit my GPU in here. I have a 9070 XT Tai Chi. It's the only one I could get on launch day. I had been waiting and playing on integrated graphics for a long time, actually. And maybe I'll do a video on integrated graphics gaming at some point on the 9800 X3, but I'm going to go ahead and get all this installed, and I will see you in the testing phase. Okay, so I've completed the installation of the Thermalright Hyper Vision. Really happy with how it looks. That's a big screen in there, and it works really well with my case. The installation process took me a while, but that's probably my own fault, just doing things incorrectly and kind of trial and error, figuring out how it works. The guide is pretty straightforward, but there's not a lot of information in there. So, you know, hopefully that's not too difficult to follow if you have one of these, and hopefully the video helps as well. Pretty happy with how it looks. I did run into an issue with the USB ports on my motherboard. I just didn't have enough of them, so I had to uninstall or unplug one of the NZXT hubs. So I'm going to get a USB splitter. It was about $7 on Amazon for one of those. That might be something you want to consider before purchasing this if you also have multiple USB hubs in use on your motherboard. If you don't have an extra open one, you will need an extra open one in order to power the display. So probably going to eventually do some more cable management here, clean it up a bit. I'm also going to do a follow-up video on the software that it uses, the TRCC software. I've heard some interesting things online about the usability and difficulty customizing it. And then I'll also take a look at the thermals as compared to the AK620 that I previously had. So understand definitely that it's an air cooler versus an AIO, and I expect this AIO to perform much better. So we'll see. I'll do some stress tests and take a look at Cyberpunk, which is the primary game I've been playing on this prior to the upgrade here. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. Hopefully I or somebody else can help you out. Really hope that this video was helpful in some way if you own one of these and you want to install it. Thanks so much for joining me.